to order. Geez, what's today? This is the May 20th meeting of the Concord City Planning Board. Could we call the roll?
Chair Woodfin.
Here.
Member Hicks.
Here.
Member Wilbur.
Here.
Member Tarbo.
Here.
Member Todd.
Here.
And Mr. Lafreniere.
Here.
Here. We'll seat Leon Lafreniere in for David Fox, who is out tonight. So welcome to the table. Let's get the first item on the agenda, the approval of the minutes from the April 15th meeting. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
Moved. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Agenda overview. We'll give you a quick agenda overview for if you're here for any of these items tonight. They're not going to be heard. First item is item 6C on the agenda. Has been moved to the June 17th, 2026 meeting at the request of the applicant. Do you want me to do a motion for all of these individually?
I think we should do them individually because they're different dates.
Okay, so we need a motion to move that meeting at the request of the applicant to the June 17th meeting.
Just for noting that the item 6C is that is Lock Road, I believe. Yes. Lock Road.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. The second item that's going to be pushed off tonight is item 8C on the agenda. Again, at the request of the applicant to be moved to the June 17th meeting. For the record, that is
62 Pleasant Street and 2 to 10 North Spring Street.
okay, so if anybody's here for those will not be heard tonight. We need a motion. If someone would like to make a motion to move that meeting to the 17th.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item 8D. At the request of the applicant, it has been moved to no date certain or indefinitely.
Yes,
indefinitely.
This would be for 38 South Main Street. They believe they do not need the required ADR approvals. Should that change, they would need to renotice abutters before it comes back.
Okay, so if anybody's here about that, you'll be renoticed if they're going to be coming back. So we'll take a motion on item 8D to move it to indefinitely continued.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item 9F, again, at the request of the applicant, has been moved to the June 17th meeting. Item 9F is
5 Thomas Street.
5 Thomas Street. Would someone like to make a motion to move that item to the June 17th meeting?
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And last but not least, item 9G, at the request of the applicant, has been removed to the July 15th, 2026 meeting.
That is the 94 to 98 Manchester Street site plan.
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion to move those to move that item to the July meeting?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. So again, 6C, 8C, 8D, 9F, and 9G were all going to be moved off the agenda tonight. And when I call them, just remind me
I will.
that I should know that. Okay, so we'll move on. Item 5 in our packet is design review applications by consent. So for those of you in the audience, if anybody's here regarding items 5A, 5B, and 5C and has any issues with those, if you could make yourself known. If not, any member of the board have any concerns or questions about items 5A, 5B, or 5C? If not, we'll take all the architectural design review comments and information that's in our packet under advisement here and approve those by consent. Would someone like to make a motion to approve items 5A, 5B, and 5C by consent?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded.
Subject to ADR recommendations.
Subject to ADR recommendations. Didn't I mention that? I thought I did.
Yeah,
Did I kind of glossed over it? It's early yet. Give me a bit. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item 6 on the agenda is determination of completeness, again by consent. So in here we've got items 6A, 6B, and 6C.
6C was already continued.
Was continued already, so 6A and 6B are determinations of completeness by consent. Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about those two applications? If not, any member of the board wish to pull those from the consent agenda? There's no ADR or anything involved, so would someone like to make a motion to determine those applications complete?
Regional impact.
Not development of regional impact, and
Public hearings on June 17th.
set the public hearings for June 17th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. That moves us to item 7, extension request by consent. Item 7A, Wilcox and Barton on behalf of Braden and Kelsey Cloutier, requesting a 1-year extension to meet precedent conditions of approval for a 2-lot minor subdivision application, conditionally approved by the board on June 18th of 2025. Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns regarding that application to extend the consent agenda? To extend the request? No? Any member of the board? Questions? If not, we'll take a motion to extend that request as outlined in your packet under 7A. Or not, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. That is the end of the consent agenda, and we've got design review applications in the section 8A. See, if you were here looking at the agenda and thought, my goodness, it's going to take forever to get to item 8, here we are, what, 6 minutes in? All right, will you read item 8A into the record?
Certainly. This is Merrimack County Savings Bank, New Hampshire Mutual Bank Corp. On behalf of Capitol Street Associates, Ransmeyer and Spellman, and New Hampshire Trust, requesting architectural design review approvals for 2 new non-illuminated building wall signs of 18.5 square feet and 23.75 square feet to replace 2 existing building wall signs at 1 Capitol Street in the Central Business Performance District.
Okay, any staff update on this? It's pretty straightforward.
I think, Alec, this one was one of the issues where we ran out of quorum at the ADR.
Yes, the ADR did not make a recommendation on this item due to lack of quorum for this item specifically, due to a recusal. And so the ADR did not take discussion on this item, and we sent it to public hearing for the board to consider the application, and if they wanted to act on the application and grant architectural design review approval tonight, or if you wanted to send it back to ADR. Staff would recommend the board take action on it tonight.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. If anybody has any concerns or questions, let's go through the application, and if there are concerns, we'll push it back to ADR. But from the looks of it, it looks like a rebranding. Looks like they're changing their logo, and looks like the little message, the little tagline underneath the logo is changing slightly. I don't think there's any concerns or questions about it. I think the color's fine. The size looks to be about the same, I think, Alec, right? I know when we looked at this originally, we had a lot of questions and concerns about the way it would fit into that opening and that archway a couple of years ago when they put it up, but I think it blends in pretty nicely. Any thoughts or comments from the board?
I'd be hard pressed to notice a change.
Yeah, again, the slanty T and the slanty H is the only thing. Is this a public hearing?
It is.
Yep.
Okay, so we will open the public hearing. If anybody has any questions or concerns about this, come on up here, Dina. Please make yourself known. If not, we will close the public hearing. And I will make a motion to approve that sign as submitted. Do you need anything else, Alec?
Nope.
Nope. We'll recommend that we approve the sign as submitted.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, just for the record, Dina Conto Demitraki is in here at the meeting and will be participating from item 8B, item 8B forward. Okay, let's read item 8B into the record if
This
we could.
is Classic Signs Incorporated, LLC, on behalf of GMX RP-SCU-Concord LLC, Dundee Investments LLC, and Service Credit Union, requesting architectural design review approvals for 2 new 33.28 square foot internally illuminated building wall signs and a new 30.5 square foot internally illuminated freestanding sign panel to be placed on the existing freestanding sign at 285 Loudon Road in the Gateway Performance District. And I'll have Alec give you the staff update on this.
Sure. This application went to the Architectural Design Review Committee. They recommended approval as submitted during this item's hearing. After the hearing, we noted that there was a discrepancy in the tenant panel pylon, so we wanted to pull it for a public hearing so we can set the record and the approval correct, so we don't get caught up on any technicalities. You'll notice that there's two renderings. One has a white background, one has a blue background, and the night rendering's a little funny. So I contacted the applicant. I'm not sure if they're here tonight, but they confirmed that they will have a blue background with the white copy, and it will be located below the Raising Cane's tenant panel that is there now. I have recommended motion for that approval. That's all that we were.
Okay, just for the record, it's page 6 in your packet, which shows the pylon sign out by the street.
So if from order from the top, it'll be Aldi, Raising Cane's, and then Service Credit Union.
And blue background, white
Blue
lettering.
background, white. Yep.
Okay, any questions, concerns about that? If not, I'll make a motion to.
Open public
Oh,
hearing.
the applicant's here. We'll open the public hearing. Anything to add? We'll see how it goes. If we might be able to bring you back up. We'll close the public hearing. Any questions, comments, concerns? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the sign as submitted, recognizing the discrepancy on the packet and recognizing that it's in slot 3, I guess, under Aldi, Raising Cane's, and up before that release sign that's there on your packet.
Second.
Yep.
Blue background, white.
And blue.
I may recommend you approve the application as submitted with the condition that the freestanding sign tenant panel shall have a blue background with white copy and will be located in the available spot below the current Raising Cane sign, which received approval on May 21st, 2025, and is not depicted in the application submission.
All right, that's my motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. That moves us on to item 8C in our
Previously
agenda.
continued.
Previously continued. See, I told you I'd do that the whole night. 8D?
Previously continued.
Previously continued. All right, let's move on to section 9 of our agenda tonight. Item 9A.
This is Eastern Development, request a minor subdivision approval for a 2-unit condominium conversion at tax map 202Z, lot 21, addressed as 184 Sewell's Falls Road in the single-family residential district. Staff update on this. This minor subdivision application is proposing condominium conversion of a proposed duplex at 184 Sewell's Falls Road. The completeness issues that necessitated the continuance of this application in April have been addressed, and the current plans before you have been prepared by a licensed land surveyor, as you see sitting here in front of us tonight. The remaining items that need to be addressed are fairly minor in nature. We believe can be addressed as conditions of approval. Staff recommends the board determine the application complete, not of regional impact, and then following the public hearing, we recommend granting conditional final approval per the recommendations of the staff memo.
Okay, so staff has found the application complete, not the development of regional impact. Would someone like to make a motion to find the application complete and open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We got a little staff update, so welcome to the table. Mr. Sargent,
Good afternoon.
good evening.
Trying to get or good evening, sorry.
Sorry.
Trying to get
Good.
this, the plan to come up because I'm
Should be.
not very computer
up
savvy.
It should pop up separately. I bet you it's in one of the other windows.
So inquiring minds want to know, is it Richard D. Bartlett and Associates part of Novus Group, or is it just Novus Group going forward?
No, it's Richard D. Bartlett and Associates,
Nice.
a division.
Ah, nice, okay.
Alec, it's open in
I'll tell all-
Acrobat, so you have to open one of the browsers.
Remember, we used to just slap the plan up
I know.
on.
Yeah, put it up on the
Leon was here back
Easel.
then, you know.
the easel.
I used to bring my easel up, stretch the legs out.
Into the wall.
And pins on the wall, that's right, yeah. And then people would stand there with a microphone, go over it.
Did you have like a stick extension cord poking?
If you were well prepared, you'd have come up and done this before the meeting. Oh, kidding, I'm only kidding. It's the tech.
Yeah, there we go.
Is this
Yeah,
us?
That's us. All right, again, thank you. My name's Mark Sargent from Richard Bartlett and Associates, a division of Novus Group. And I'm here tonight representing the applicant. The property's at 184 Sewell's Falls Road. I think everybody's familiar with this. Has an area of 3.09 acres, 320 feet of frontage on Sewell's Falls Road. It's currently vacant. And a while ago, sometime last year, we were granted a conditional use permit to allow some encroachments in the wetland buffer. You can see they're kind of shaded in red there. So the proposal before the board this evening is to create a two-unit condex. The condex would have a shared driveway coming down from Sewell's Falls Road. There would be limited common area associated with each one of the units. You can see the units are kind of in the ground. I know there was some question about how the water service would be handled, but I know with, as everybody's aware, with the condominium, you have to have separate water services. I think the idea was that because of the length between Sewell's Falls and the proposed building, there'd be a single water line coming down and then separated with two separate meters at that point. So if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. Questions from the board? Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? Thank you, Mark. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. So in your packet, we've got findings of fact. We'll use the information that we heard here this evening, the contents that we have in our packet as our findings of fact to base our decisions on. Really one item on the list here is 9.2 is to grant minor subdivision approval for the duplex condominium conversion of 184 Sioux Falls Road, subject to the following precedent and subsequent conditions. And those are outlined in precedent conditions 1A through G, 2A and B, 3A and B, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and subsequent conditions 1 through 6. Would someone like to make a motion to grant minor subdivision approval as outlined?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You're all set. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, let's move on to item 9B in our agenda.
This is Stonefield Engineering and Design on behalf of Associated Enterprises, Inc., requesting major site plan, architectural design review approval, and certain waivers from the site plan regulations, including a waiver to allow the determination of completeness of public hearings at the same meeting for the conversion of an existing 15,341 square foot office building into 21 residential dwelling units and associated site improvements at tax map 6414Z, lot 1, addressed as 103 North State Street in the Civic Performance District. As part of the major site plan, the applicant is also requesting conditional use permit approvals pursuant to 28-45E1 of the zoning ordinance to not require a non-residential use for a lot greater than 20,000 square feet located within a performance district, and the second pursuant to 2878C2 to allow for the existing driveway and an arterial road with less than 200 feet of separation from adjacent drives to be expanded to 24 feet in width to accommodate two-way traffic. Staff update, this application is calling for the adaptive reuse of the commercial office building at 103 North State Street, converting the commercial space into 21 residential apartment units as well as the associated site improvements. In addition to the site plan and CUPs, there are two primary concerns that staff has relative to the design of the project, which we believe would either require relief from the zoning board, potentially need to reduce the density or redesign the site in order to assure regulatory compliance. The issues are the accessible path from the parking area to the building entrance being within the 24-foot wide access aisle for the site, the design of the dumpster and access to it requiring a very complicated turning movement in order to properly access the site and the dumpster. Staff is recommending the board determine the application complete by granting the waiver to allow that to take place, open the public hearing, determine not of regional impact, and then our recommendation is to continue the application to July 15th in order for the applicant to address the concerns raised in the staff review.
Okay, so staff has determined that the application is complete, not a development of regional impact. Would someone like to make a motion to find the application complete and open the public hearing?
So moved.
By doing so, you're also waiving the requirement to allow that to take place at the same night.
Right.
Yes.
6032C and 1105.
6032C and 1105.
So
Second.
so moved.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, welcome to the table. If you guys could state your names for the record.
Thank you. My name's Adam Drake. I'm with Stonefield Engineering and Design, based out of 120 Washington Street in Salem, Massachusetts, here representing Associated Enterprises and the proposed adaptive reuse project at 103 North State Street. This is my colleague.
Dick Salveson. And I'm Craig Jones with Inscription Architects here in Concord.
Okay, so you heard staff. We tend to follow staff's recommendations, so I need to know what's happening with the two pieces that they've got the issues with is it's going to be a tough nut for us to move past. So the ADA compliance isn't a staff, city, town issue, it's a government issue, and it's inflexible for a reason.
Yeah, understood. If you don't mind, I can just give a brief overview of
yeah,
the
have
full
at it.
project and then just kind of hone in on those
Yep.
two separate issues.
Yep.
So the applicant, we briefly covered this, but seeking site plan approval along with 2 conditional use permits to renovate and convert the dilapidated office building at 103 North State Street and convert it into a multi-unit residential building. It's a great opportunity, bring diverse housing into the neighborhood. The existing parcel there is about half an acre. It's located within the Civic Performance District, and it's currently developed with a vacant 15,400 square foot office building. So as part of the proposed site improvements, we're replacing the 27 parking spaces with a smaller 21 space parking lot. This gives us enough room to improve the existing overall vehicle circulation. It lets us bring the full facility up to meet ADA standards. And it also allows us to provide a dumpster enclosure as opposed to the existing dumpsters. I believe there's 2 of them just sitting in the parking lot there. So the one we're proposing is going to be a fully fenced enclosure and fully screened by landscaping. So the existing 16-foot wide full movement driveway that is there today, it is not ADA compliant, and it doesn't have pedestrian connection to that main road or to the building there. So we're going to be replacing that with a 24-foot wide full movement driveway. So this widened driveway gives us that room to add the 4-foot striped ADA compliant path. It is within the 24-foot drive aisle, but per the latest ADA design requirements, it is still ADA compliant to have that striped kind of sidewalk or walking path within that maneuvering aisle. And even if you exclude that 4 feet, when it's in use, a 20-foot wide access for vehicles is still, industry standard for residential. Typically, the 24-foot is reserved for more commercial uses, especially with a driveway as long as this. Having that wide of a driveway could encourage speeding, and traffic studies have often found that introducing this striping can, decrease speeds and actually lead to a safer, overall design. So with the existing landscaping here being overgrown and generally in poor or unmaintained condition, we've provided a comprehensive landscaping plan. We're proposing to rehabilitate the existing landscaping here, and we're also proposing 40 new evergreens of 3 different varieties, along with 2 new red maples to screen the parking facilities. I would like to note that we are seeking relief for the minimum number of trees around the parking lot. Our landscaping team found that given the number of mature existing trees around the property line, we wouldn't be able to site new trees without introducing conflicting tree canopies or without eliminating the wood fence at the rear of the property line. So it was our feeling that keeping that fence and not interfering with the existing trees was the better design as opposed to implementing the required number of trees. With that being said, the applicant's excited for this opportunity to bring diverse housing into the neighborhood, and we're very open to working with the town to put forward the best product that we can. So if you have any questions or comments, we're grateful to hear feedback on it.
Okay, well, again, I don't know if we're in agreement that the 24-foot, the 24 feet is the standard. You're going to put a 35-foot dump truck down going through there. It's not a little driveway that goes in and services a couple of houses or a condominium or a two-yacht duplex. You got a big vehicle that's going to be putting in there. I saw the turning plans. I don't know if a truck could turn around in that little 3-point turn that you've got in there. If you say it is, that's fine. I'll agree with that. But I'm stuck on the ADA compliant striped piece in the driveway, and I don't know if staff's got any feedback or input on that, but if the ADA requirements have changed or if something's different, then we'll take a look. But if it's not, then I need to get some guidance here. No?
Do you have anything?
If that is what the traffic engineer asked for, I have to believe that is what is required. Yeah,
Just
so
to clarify, I don't believe a traffic engineer from your team suggested that. I'm just saying, like, historically, based on traffic studies, it's been found that having that narrower path can decrease speeding. Just to clarify.
Okay, I think it's something we're gonna have to dig into. If that is a regulation, a federal regulation or a city regulation, and he's saying that it's not, it's something we're gonna have to confirm.
Okay.
I agree with Pete. We've always operated accessible parking access aisles, sidewalks, routes, all, are never, commingled with that. So I'm not familiar with the change in the ADA you're referencing. But if we were, if the board was to move forward with any type of conditional approval tonight, I would condition that is vetted by staff.
Okay, and then you're comfortable with the turning radius of a dump truck getting down into that lot and turning around?
I'm happy to bring up the truck turn here if you give me one moment. It did not.
You got, it's in the download, it popped up there.
I must have missed that one. Let me retry it here. Here we go. So I believe the comment we received back from staff is that typically they use a 35-foot truck as opposed to the 29-foot truck that we're showing here. So we're happy to update this and just show proof of concept as a condition of approval tonight. But as shown with the standard front loading that we typically use on projects, the vehicle's coming in, it's making 1K turn to turn around, and then it's pulling right into the trash enclosure. And the software we use here is typically rather conservative, so I personally would not see any problem with refuse vehicle navigating.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
One of the things that we've talked about as staff is relocation of this successful parking space so that the motion is actually a single turn in here, a backing movement, and then out, and relocating the dumpster to that location, which I'll just be honest that, given that we are at the bare minimum number of parking spaces at 21, one per unit, and the typical time that a refuse truck is going to be here emptying, the likelihood those parking spaces are going to be occupied is fairly high, and I would not, I'm not a truck driver, but that's an awfully skilled truck driver that can make that kind of turn in a fully occupied parking lot with a truck that's 4 feet longer than what this turning movement is shown on this plan. So our recommendation would be to redesign, relocate to where the accessible parking space is, because that's a much more natural motion. It allows you to get in, back, and then out, so you're not backing into North State Street. So that's, from a design standpoint, that would be our suggestion to the applicant.
Yeah, we appreciate your suggestion, and we have actually looked at relocating it. We've done some kind of preliminary drafts of how that would look and work. And, what we came to is relocating it or shifting it would lead to more waivers or potentially even a variance if we were to do a shift like that. We felt that, a vehicle can comfortably maneuver this, but if the board feels otherwise, we're happy to work with you guys to remedy that.
Okay. Questions from the board? Councilor Todd.
Thank you. Just while we're on this topic, how many trucks do you anticipate, let's say on a weekly basis, to be entering and having to remove the trash? Is this a once a week thing, every day of the week, or?
I would imagine that it's weekly, but our architects might have a better answer.
Yeah, I think typically in a scenario like this where we can be up to 2, I don't know that we'd be more than 2 a week.
Twice a week. Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Yes, Paige.
So if you went with a 4-foot non-commingled sidewalk, you wouldn't have enough two-way traffic space for the driveway?
So you're saying if it was like a traditional
Yes.
curbing sidewalk? Yeah, that is correct. So just given the narrow nature of the lot and that existing 16-foot driveway, you can see up here really where the pinch point is. I mean, we're maintaining, I would say it's 26 feet just from the building to the property line. So to maintain pedestrian access from the parking facilities to the main road, it really wouldn't be possible.
Follow-up? Eaton?
Is there a reason why you want the dumpster in its shown location versus the location that Mr. Thompson suggested? Is there a better reason?
Yeah, no,
for it
that's a great question. You can see the dumpster is a lot narrower. It's about 7 feet, so it gives us that ability to tuck it in there without obscuring that parking aisle, as opposed to the handicap spot, which is 19 feet in depth. So it would really be sticking out into that drive aisle there. It wouldn't sit as nicely, so that would either bring up, you know, further questions about reducing the drive aisle. Yeah, it would lead to more waivers or potential variance if we were to do that.
Okay. Dina?
Going back to the driveway, how often do you think you would need to have two-way traffic in terms of having cars side by side going in two opposite directions? Could it be just, instead of, it looks like you're creating space for two cars to be able to go side by side. If you don't have that, is that something that can be done?
So even if the accessible path is in use, that 4 feet, 20 feet is still more than enough room for two-way traffic to safely operate.
But yeah, it doesn't get you, so your question would be have one drive aisle and then just have the path separated out?
So that you can have a
I don't know if you can do
clear
that.
ADA compliant
I don't
pathway
think you can
for
do that
people.
though, Ken?
Variance or waiver.
So, one thing the applicant is up against here is our zoning ordinance requires a 24-foot wide two-way drive aisle. So to reduce it from that, they would need a variance. And our zoning does allow the planning board to grant a conditional use to reduce that to 18 feet, but that is only when there's a certain level of trips that this application exceeds. So the variance to reduce that 24-foot is the only outlet for the applicant. They would have to pursue that.
Good thought, Dina.
Generally speaking, the planning board tries not to approve plans that need relief from the zoning ordinance. That's the main reason for the staff recommendation, to continue to allow those discussions to potentially happen with the zoning board before a final approval is granted here.
Okay, other questions? I mean, it's a tough, you're putting 10 pounds of flour in a 5-pound bag here. I mean, it's a tough, I understand it, and we need the housing. I think it's a great reuse of the property. I just am a little hesitant to move forward until I've got a little bit more information. And it's not part of our plans, but since the architectural elevations are in here, are there egress points in the basement level? Maybe the architect can answer that, but I didn't see any egress out of the basement.
There are two locations. There's two existing locations. One that goes from one of the basement units directly out, and then it connects to the lobby as well.
And you're zero feet away from the property line, right? I mean, you're right on the property line.
No, there's room.
Okay.
On the side. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and we met with the fire department on this, and we were proposing some other things, and they said, no, you're good.
Okay. Any historical elements for the building? I know the building's been there a long time, brick building.
No.
Before you get too far down the road, I didn't know if,
Right.
Historical Society or anything had any weigh in on it. Okay. Okay, any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? Oh, yeah. So we'll send you guys back for right now. We'll have you come back up in a bit. Come on up.
Signed in.
Yep. Hi. just have a seat. If you could state your name for the record.
My name's Tom Graham. I have no investment in this whatsoever, but I'm just curious as to if you plan for our foot or foot and a half blizzards we get in the winter, and where are you going to put the snow with all the tight little maneuvering?
Yep.
That's the only thing I had to offer.
Okay. Well, we'll ask. If you could just sign in, if you haven't signed in on the table there, that would be great. Thank you. Any other member of the audience have any questions or concerns? Mr. Schweiker, come on up. Welcome back.
Hello, members of the planning board, city staff. I'm Roy Schweiker, and I don't know how many people in wheelchairs are going to be living in this place, but I assume there's going to be at least 21 total people living there. And so, you know, really, those people should have a place to walk. And I don't necessarily see that walking in the road is a good thing. On the other hand, based on my experience with the city, if you put a curb there, then it's more likely to get plowed if it's within the curb than if it's a separate thing. So I don't know how to go on that. And, you know, sure, if you had one less parking space because of one less unit, things would work a little bit better back there. But basically, this is a very tight situation, however you look at it. And, I mean, you people have got a good decision to make here, and maybe I'm glad I'm not one of the people making it. Because, you know, either way you vote on this, you know, it's not going to be optimal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. Any other member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? Last chance? No? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Come on back up, guys, if you can. You got a question? Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, Mr. Schweiker brings up a good point as far as having maybe fewer units so that we can have fewer parking spots.
Sure. Yeah.
One of the items that
Yep.
we raised in the staff memo
Right.
was
Yeah.
potential looking at reduction of density.
You know, and does it change the plan enough to make it feasible still or not? That's the, you know, the applicant's piece of it.
Right.
Yes, Councilor Todd.
Yeah, thank you. I guess my observation is I like Mr. Thompson's suggestion, but I also like the fact that the handicap accessible space is really in the best location, given the current layout. But that does not preclude from taking Mr. Thompson's suggestion and just utilizing the next space over and making that be the dumpster space. So either way, you're going to be losing some parking, so then I'm kind of in line with what was commented here, that maybe a new look at that with a different design in terms of where the truck could, dumpster could be located, and then any ancillary necessity after that, reduction of units or whatever might have to happen, maybe we need to take a look at that too.
What's our threshold, Alec, for when the planning board would have conditional use permit authority over the driveway with versus zoning board?
I thought it was 30
Vehicle trips?
Yeah.
Okay.
30?
I'll look it
We're
up
gonna-
to
we're
get
gonna
the real
verify
number
it,
for you.
Yeah, right now, again, resolving the dumpster issue still doesn't leave us with a resolution to the accessible pathway being in the travelway.
Yeah,
And
well,
we don't have the relief valve at the planning board level. They will verify where that level would be, but where it is right now, the relief valve is the zoning board through a variance.
35
35 vehicle trips per day.
trip ends.
Trip ends, okay.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I was just, this is still an issue though too. So I was just trying to, that's right. This is something that they can work on, but my understanding was that we're going to try to be looking to staff and maybe our transportation engineer, whoever that we need to get advice from as to the other piece of this, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
As far as the drive aisle, as far as this.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. In that drive aisle. Did you have a question, Mike?
I was just going to say, with all these questions, it seems that we should, we might want to think about continuing this.
To the I want to get as much on the table and on the record as we can, so
So they know
that's,
what to
that's an option as well, so we get good direction on where we're headed. So you heard the question about snow, we didn't even get that far down the road, but snow question, lighting plans, you know, that type of stuff is obviously a question. So tight lot, what do you do with the snow?
Yeah, so we have proposed several snow storage locations throughout the property. You'll see one adjacent to the driveway here. and then 2 kind of smaller ones in the south. But per the staff recommendation, we're adding a note to the plan saying any excess snow is to be hauled off-site by a private company.
Okay.
Fairly standard for these types of urban lots.
Yeah, tight lots. Lighting?
We have provided a separate photometric plan along with our site plans. We're just adding wall-mounted lights to the building. We're not doing any proposed freestanding lights or poles.
Okay. So no poles out in the parking lot?
Correct.
Dark parking lot, 40 trees.
Page 7.
What's that?
Page 7.
Yeah, the lighting. Okay. Other questions from the board? Anything else? Yes, Councilor Todd.
Just a comment, I'm also very excited about this project, so
Yeah.
I hope we can find a way to make it work. I think this is going to be a great location for some additional housing needs, you know, really close to downtown, walkable. I think it'd be very desirable. People would, I think, enjoy living in that spot, and it's also a great reuse of the property. And I kind of like the fact that really the footprint, nothing's really going to change. I mean, the average person's going to walk or drive by and not even know, oh, people are living there now? I don't, you know, so I think that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
100%. Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I do have a couple kind of final questions. It seems like we're kind of leading down the path of continuation, so I just want to get some questions out, you know,
Yeah.
while I can before we go back into revisions. If we were to swap the handicap spot with the dumpster, would the board be open to us just providing a sidewalk and path to the door, or would they want pedestrian access all the way to the road? Would that be a requirement? Just because I was saying earlier, the choke point is really up at the throat of the driveway.
Yep.
So to provide 24-foot plus a separate sidewalk wouldn't be possible without going through to get that relief from the zoning board. If we were only required to provide access to this main door here, we could potentially do it without having to go to the zoning.
And there's no access from the front of the building? That's not an option to get in?
There's no ADA accessible way in currently.
Yeah, I would have, again, out of the cite the exact location, but I believe it is both in our zoning and in our site plans that accessible routes are provided from parking to the each principal use on a lot, also the adjacent sidewalks. So they don't need to enter the same location, but they both need to be provided.
If we were to potentially do one around the side of the building, like an ADA path, kind of the back side, plan west, like if we were to provide an ADA path along here to this sidewalk, would that be an option?
Is there enough room?
We would have to look more into it. I'm just trying to get all the questions out while I can.
It's plausible.
Okay.
Not ideal to send people around the back of the building.
You'd have to put more
but
lighting in.
It's an option. It's an option.
I would, you know, just, again, not knowing exactly where the design is going to take us at this point, I think it makes sense to bat around what potential options there are, whether we can combine certain things through the zoning board in one package so that we are handling it all in one shot.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I would agree with that. Okay. Other?
No, I appreciate all the feedback from the board tonight. You know, it was great. You guys giving us time to come up here and sort things out.
Well, again, it's a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't even gotten this far, but we need the housing. We want the housing to come through. We want to try to work with you to figure out a way to get it into the system. And if it means an extra meeting and kind of hanging things, you know, hammering a little bit out, it's well worth it.
Yeah, and we appreciate that.
Good. With that said, I'm going to recommend that we continue the meeting. I am concerned about the 65-day clock. If we go to the July meeting,
The clock just started tonight, so that would pretty much put you at 60 days.
yeah, so we got,
We have it in our staff report. You were determined complete tonight, so the board, unless it's otherwise requested by the applicant, needs to take action by July 24.
okay, so we'll have the July meeting to be able to hammer anything out. I would recommend any issues that are coming up with staff, they weigh heavy on us. So we look at that as kind of the rule of law, not the rule of law. I mean, we break it often as to their consternation, but we want to rely on them for certain things. And the ADA things and life safety things in particular are going to be game stoppers for us. So work with staff to get us to a plan that we can hammer through, and we're your biggest supporters. So.
Okay, thank you.
So
We
with
appreciate
that,
it.
I'd like to make a motion to continue. Do we go to the July meeting, Alec, 15th? Is that right?
That's what we're recommending, and I would just recommend the applicant to work with us, and also, in case we think this application may need to go to the zoning board, I want to make sure you guys are familiar with those application deadlines, so that we don't miss that July meeting.
All right, yeah, we'll follow up with the office tomorrow and make sure everything's in order.
That'd be great. So I'll make that motion to move the, to continue?
Continue
To
the public
continue,
hearing.
so no additional notifications, to continue the public hearing to the July 15th meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will see you in a couple of months. It'll probably be snowing when you come in, just so you know. All right.
In July, yeah.
In July, yeah. Let's move on to item 9C in our agenda, if we could.
Thank you. This is Advantage Signs on behalf of New Hampshire Retirement System, requesting approval for a conditional use permit pursuant to Section 2869B2 for a wall sign above the sills of the first-story windows and more than 25 feet above grade, and architectural design review approval for a new building's wall sign at 80 Commercial Street in the Opportunity Core Performance District. Again, this application is simply to provide the necessary conditional use permit for the New Hampshire Retirement System's new sign, which again will be over 25 feet above grade at 80 Commercial. We've reviewed the information, evaluated the CUP criteria. We recommend the board determine the application complete, not a regional impact, and following the public hearing, grant the conditional CUP approval in accordance with the staff memo.
Okay, so staff has found the application complete, not development of regional impact. Would somebody like to make a motion to find the application complete and open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Public hearing is open. Welcome to the table. If you could state your name for the record.
Josh Messenger at Advantage Signs.
Alrighty, so I don't think there's a lot to this. I don't know that you need to add anything to it, other than if you got anything you want to add, feel free. If not, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a nice looking sign.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Any further discussions? Any questions from the board? Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? No? We'll close the public hearing on that, and I will make a motion to approve the plan. Well, sorry, got to go through steps here. Yep, sorry. Can't quite cut it that short. Okay, so again, our findings of fact is the information that was presented in the packet. Well, we didn't have any testimony, but basically the information that was provided in the pack and the staff report as our findings of fact. Item 9.2 is to grant architectural design review approval for the new 37.2 square foot internally illuminated wall sign at 80 Commercial Street in the Opportunity Corridor. Would someone like to make a motion to grant architectural design review approval as outlined?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Grant 9.3 is to grant conditional use permit approval to allow for the proposed signage of a 3-story or more building above 25 feet from grade at tax map lot 59Z7, addressed as 80 Commercial Street, based on the evidence provided showing that the criteria of section 2894B have been met, and the following precedent and subsequent conditions, which are outlined in precedent conditions 1 and 2, and subsequent condition 1. Would someone like to make a motion to grant conditional use permit approval as outlined?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Was there a reason this wasn't on the consent agenda? Was there a reason?
Because it's a conditional use permit.
Okay.
Good question, though.
And
It would make sense, but
the board had previously requested, when there's an ADR component that has some other accompanying application, you look at it
Yep.
in the public hearing for that.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
I just didn't want to miss it and just.
Nope, that's a
allow it.
good call. Thank you. So again, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You're all set.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, move us on to item 9E and 9D.
This is Richard D. Bartlett Associates, a division of Novus Group. On behalf of Craig and Gina Wyant, requesting minor subdivision approval for a two-lot subdivision and certain waivers at tax map 393Z, lot 55, addressed as 17 Clark Street in the neighborhood residential and open space residential districts. This is a minor subdivision, again, for two lots at 17 Clark. In your initial staff memo, we recommended that it either be continued or found incomplete due to some missing information about the separation of proposed driveways. The applicant did provide some supplemental information after the staff report was completed last week, alleviating the concern that those projects may not comply with the zoning requirements. Based on the additional materials presented by the applicant late on Friday, staff is recommending the board determine the application complete, not of regional impact, and following the public hearing, granting the conditional approval in accordance with the recommendations of the staff memo. That would be the supplemental staff memo.
The supplemental staff memo. Okay, so again, we have, staff has found the application complete, not development of regional impact. Would someone like to make a motion to find the application complete and open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. If you could, welcome to the table. If you could state your names for the record.
Again, my name is Mark Sargent from Richard Bartlett and Associates, a division of Novus Group, and I'm here tonight representing the applicants. The property is at 17 Clark Street, has an area of 1.14 acres, 100 feet of frontage. It does have an existing single-family home on the property, and if you look to the lower part of the plan, you can see that there is an existing drain line that does cross the property, and just an easement associated with that, but that easement has no width to it. The proposal before the board this evening is to create one additional single-family lot. That's the lower lot there. That lot would have an area of 0.65 acres. 0.23 is required. 121.37 feet of frontage, where 80 is required. A buildable area of almost 14,000 square feet, where 5,000 is required. That leaves the remaining lot with a single-family home with an area of 0.49 acres, 80 feet of frontage, buildable area of just over 20,000 square feet. And it makes the lot coverage 8%, where the maximum is 50%. We did ask for a couple of waivers on that. That was the usable area triangle and for rectangle, sorry. And the wetlands, we have shown usable area rectangles. The one on the proposed lot is a little odd configured just because of the drain line that crosses the property, but there's an excess of what is required. We just don't match the width. There was some comment about the driveway, and there was just a miscommunication with my client, and Tim Young is Ms. Wyatt's son-in-law and is purchasing that additional lot, or the proposed lot. He's a landscape architect. He did come up with a driveway schematic. You can see that the driveway on the existing home kind of encroaches on the neighbor's property, so the idea is to get that into compliance. I don't know, Kirsten, is that on here?
It should be in the supplemental, additional information from the applicant.
Okay. Oh, that's not, oh, yeah, there it is. All right, man, I did that. Thank you.
Technology catching up with you, huh?
So, I'll let Tim at this point kind of
Sure.
take over from here.
Yeah, Tim Young, as Mark mentioned, son-in-law of the owners. The top lot is the existing lot, the existing house on it. The existing driveway was, plus or minus 5 feet over the property line. And so what we're doing is getting that driveway back on their property and getting that 5-foot setback off of the property line. In order to do that, we have already removed a couple trees. We are going to do a little work to the side porch, remove a portion of that side porch, and that gets us, into conformance there. And then the new lot on the lower site, just gesturing at, where the house could be located. and the best location for that driveway, getting it as far away from Fisher Street as we can.
So, and the other thing was I had mentioned earlier that, there is a drain line that does cross the property. There is, an easement associated with it, but no width. And with our discussions with city staff, we're going to accommodate for a 25-foot wide easement through there. So if you had any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Okay.
It's one of the oldest drain lines in the city.
Yeah, it was a combo.
Hutchins Street, down Hutchins Street. Questions from the board? No? Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? Oh, yeah, come on up. Have you guys step back, thank you. Yep. Hey there, welcome to the table. If you could state your name for the record.
Members of the Planning Board, my name's Dorothy Chigadaris, and I'm here to make comments on the subdivision waiver request for 17 Clark Street. I've lived at 16 Fisher Street since August of 1985 and can see the Wayans property directly across the street from my kitchen window and front porch. I'd like to state that I am opposed to granting the waivers that would allow the property at 17 Clark Street to be subdivided. When I was looking for a house to buy, I immediately loved the neighborhood. Almost every house was built around 1900, and there was a real sense of community and appreciation for the character of the neighborhood. The Wayans purchased 17 Clark Street in January of 2001. I'm sure that the land that surrounded the house was one of the things that drew them to the property, and I'm not sure that a potential new buyer of the existing house, if the lot is subdivided, would find the property as appealing if they knew that a house will likely be built to the left of the existing property. In addition, the thought that somebody would consider purchasing the new subdivided lot on property that would most likely require much leveling and/or fill to make it buildable seems somewhat unlikely. Although I understand the motivation to realize the maximum profit from selling the property, I'd like to point out that the money won't last forever, but the changes that result from the property being subdivided will be the legacy the Wayans will be leaving to the neighborhood. I wonder what Phyllis would have thought. My hope is that the Wayans would at least advertise the property as is at a price they feel will get them the amount they want to realize from the sale, to see if there might be a buyer that would love it as much as they did back in 2001. That would be the best outcome. I agree with all the points made in a petition that's going to be submitted to the board opposing the waivers for 17 Clark Street, and hope that the planning board will take them into consideration when making its decision to grant or not grant the requested waivers. Thank you.
Any questions for Dorothy? Thank you very much for your testimony. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, sir, come on up. Welcome to the table. If you could state your name for the record.
Hi, Mike Bogue from 14 Clark Street, directly across from the subject property. As Dorothy mentioned, I put together a petition in opposition to granting these waivers for a couple of different reasons I'd like to walk through. First, the usable area waiver. The regulation is there for a reason. These limits were set. Limit is 60 feet. They do not meet it. They fall short by 10 feet if you actually measure this rectangular shape at the widest point. The narrowest point is only 20 feet wide. Additionally, that buildable area, if we can go back to the other one, the usable area that they've shown goes right up to the very top of a 60% slope. Now, most of you probably understand what that means, but a lot of the civilians or people out there don't really understand just how steep that is. In order to make this a usable lot, they would also have to remove a large portion of trees right at the top of that lot. Now, I'm sure most of you, if any of you, have not been out to the site to see the old growth trees that are right in the position of that usable area. I brought a photo from the front. So on that photo, you're going to see the usable area delineated. I did bring this into AutoCAD. I geolocated it correctly using the information on the plans, just to make sure I was looking at exactly what it was. And I placed it over an aerial image using Google Earth, just to give everybody a really good idea of what we're looking at. The majority of that usable lot is going to be over wooded area as it is. Removing that old growth, coming from my background, my first concern is destabilizing that slope. If this is going to move forward, I will highly encourage anyone that is going to be developing that lot to do geotechnical explorations, see what the soils are actually like, not just make assumptions as have been put into these waiver requests, and see what actually needs to be done. That slope right there, as was noted, also has a drainage line coming under it, and as the board so rightfully noted out, it's probably one of the oldest drainage lines in the city. Having that 25-foot easement over it directly beneath their proposed driveway, which is only 20 feet from Fisher Street, is going to be another issue. The other thing in these waivers is request for hardship. There is no hardship here. The only reason these waivers are being requested is for monetary gain. Nobody that is trying to live at these lots is actually going to purchase these lots is going to be living there. Everybody's simply going to be selling it, trying to make as much money as possible, which I understand. I'm all for capitalism, but it does come at a cost. Granting the waiver simply for convenience should not be an acceptable reason. It also sets a precedent which the city should not allow. Granting waivers for the convenience of developers is not what this city is about. It's not what Concord's about. We're not in a highly dense city. There is still land available. There are plenty of lots out there that can be purchased, that can be developed, that meet all of the requirements. Moving on to the wetland delineation waiver. Wetland delineation cannot be determined simply by walking out, looking around, and saying, nope, I don't see anything. It is a science. It needs to be completed by an environmental person who is skilled and experienced at that role. Just walking out and claiming that it's not there, once again, requesting for a hardship, which is not a hardship. These are design requirements. They're here for a reason. We shouldn't be granting waivers just because people don't want to do all the steps. Both waivers, if granted, would set that precedence. It would say, hey, developers, as long as you show up, if you do this and ask for the waivers, you're going to get them. You don't have to meet these requirements.
That's not true. I mean, we grant these waivers all the time. So I got the waiver piece. Let's move on. We grant these waivers more than not in these types of applications.
So as Dorothy had mentioned, I put this all into a petition. I brought it around the neighborhood. Unfortunately, 10 days notice isn't a ton of time, but all three abutters have signed. The majority of the people down Fisher Street have signed. We have Ingle Street represented, Edgemont Street represented. So I'd like to submit this to the board. And now, I do have one question for clarification on the driveway requirements. I looked into the regulations and it said no new driveways shall be within 40 feet of any intersection or existing driveways. The driveway layout that was shown, the new driveway is only 20 feet from Fisher Street. I'm curious as to how that doesn't require an additional waiver.
That requirement is for the same side of the road.
For the same side of the road?
Correct.
So we do have a house at the opposite end of Fisher Street, and it's kind of a similar situation, and we already have issues there with people parking along the road right in the intersection. So I just want to point out that this would also create another issue similar to that end. And just to finish things off, I did look back at the original properties and the original tract of land because there was discussion how it was too. The original tract was a triangle shape that took up the entire frontage, and it was pretty much just that extra slope on the back that was added. So thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. I hope you take this all into consideration.
Questions? Any questions? Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns about this application? Yeah, come on up. Hi, if you could state your name for the record?
Yeah, sure. My name is Angela Mason Bogue, and I reside at 14 Clark Street. Michael is my husband. We've lived there for about 10 years now. When we were looking for a home, we were drawn to the neighborhood based on its historical architecture of all the homes in the neighborhood. I've done extensive research on the neighborhood because it's interesting to me and important to me to preserve the history of our city and how it evolved. The neighborhood of Clark Street, Engle, and Edgemont, I believe it was subdivided from the owner of a house on North State Street, which was built, the home was built in 1790, and it was a farm, and, you know, the property got sold and divided at some point. I don't have all the exact dates, but it's a pretty historical neighborhood. In speaking with all of our neighbors, everybody agrees that this would be a bad decision for the neighborhood. The oldest house in the neighborhood was built in the 70s. You can tell it's the newest house, and everyone agrees that part of the reason they live there is because of the character and the continuity of the architectural designs. A modern house in that spot would kind of be ridiculous when you look at what gets built these days. You've got large garages in front of the house with, you know, maybe a window and a door next to it. And honestly, that doesn't invite community, which, as you know, well, maybe you don't know, but maybe you can tell that we all know each other in the neighborhood. We went door to door and talked to everybody. We know everybody's names. We know, you know, their stories, all that stuff. As far as a permit for this property, I think, as my husband already spoke to, it's unnecessary to divide this lot. The owners of the home haven't lived there since before I lived there. They've been renting it out the entire time and before that. So they have no investment in the community, so to speak, except for the money that could be made. It doesn't meet the requirements as was laid out by my husband earlier for usable area. You know, from my point of view, we bought the house looking at the lot, knowing that the house across the street would always be there, and that the land next to it belongs to the city of Concord and would never be developed. You know what I mean? So we've got a beautiful view from our front porch. You know, there's minimal light pollution, noise pollution. It's a quiet neighborhood. I fear that would change the character and nature of the neighborhood would change. We've got old growth. There's a lot of wildlife. We see deer there all the time, turkeys. We've even had a bear come up there. The birds. It's just beautiful. I think it would be a shame to, you know, side with you know, monetary motivations as opposed to respecting character and integrity of a neighborhood. And I agree, there is no hardship here. The lot doesn't need to be divided. There's no reason. The people who own it live in California. It would be really, you know, I would implore them to reconsider this waiver application subdivision and sell their home, because, like as Dorothy said, having a home in Concord with a little bit of land in that neighborhood is really valuable. most lots are kind of square, and that one has some extra space behind it and next to it that is, would be good for a young family. Put a swing set, just enjoy, put some gardens or whatever. And so.
Thank you. Any questions? The applicant? Thank you for your testimony. Okay. Anybody else? Questions, concerns? Okay. Why don't we have the applicant come on back up? So just, for the record, I don't think there's a house proposed here, and what you're doing today is subdividing a lot, right?
That's correct, yeah. And, the lot is, you can see, it's fairly level. Where the developable portion is, there are some steep slopes in the back, we've indicated those. I don't think the intent here is to clear cut the lot and disrupt the steep slopes at all. This doesn't qualify under your slope buffer requirements at all, so there's no
Just
buffer associated.
For the record, it does not, you said?
It does not.
It does
no.
not qualify
Yeah.
for bluff, correct?
For bluff.
It is not a bluff. And, the applicants are selling the lot to their son-in-law, so. Beyond that,
We're not here to question the
Yeah,
financial piece of it. I mean,
beyond
it's
that, I
tough
don't know
for
what
us
to add, I think.
tell people that, but I mean, our use is, our piece of this is the lot, what's it being used for, and how's it being used, not if it should be used or if it's gonna disrupt wildlife. I mean, it's a tough way to look at it, but that's our piece of it.
And I understand it. We meet all the requirements with the exception of the width of the usable area. We do exceed the usable area requirements as it pertains to area, but that width on the lot we're creating, yes, we're asking for a waiver on that. As it pertains to wetlands, we can get a wetland scientist out there and to tell us there are no wetlands on this. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not a wetland scientist, but I'm smart enough to know if there's a wetland on the property.
Yeah.
There aren't any in this particular area. So with that, Tim, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add or?
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't been a part of the neighborhood, but my wife lived there for many years, and honestly, when I drive down Clark Street and I look at where we're proposing to subdivide, like, it seems to me like a vacant lot. It seems like it wouldn't affect the neighborhood at all to have another house in that location. Like, it wouldn't, degrade the neighborhood at all. It just, I guess that's my only reason.
Great. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll close the public hearing.
The one thing I would add, because it was brought up in public testimony, is the planning board has no jurisdiction whatsoever on the design of a single family or a duplex home, so that is not something the board can even consider in your decision making.
Right, and it won't come back to us. It's not like we're granting this subdivision and then we're gonna see it again to say this color doesn't look good or you can't put this driveway here or do that. That's not our gig, thankfully. Thankfully. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Eaton? Whoops, sorry, yep.
Critical to the testimony was the waiver grant, and
Yep.
I have forgotten, I would like to be reminded of the standard for granting a waiver. How do we make that determination?
I'll defer to staff. I'll butcher it if I have to do it.
It's a statutory requirement found in RSA 674-36 that basically states that there needs to be unique circumstances or an unnecessary hardship to the lot and meeting the overall intent of the regulations, or something, I don't remember off the top of my head. Essentially, there needs to be something specific to the site itself that makes it both reasonable in terms of the application of the regulations and the granting of the waiver. If you'd like, I can pull this specific language up.
It sounds ringing a bell, thank you.
The usable lot one is the question that I'd have, is if we grant the subdivision and we do it with a non-conforming lot or with a variance, basically, a waiver to not have a usable lot at rectangle, what?
The The waiver is the shape. There is
Right.
more than enough actual usable area, it's just not in a
Squeezable.
rectangle.
But this is different than what would be required for a variance. A variance, by its very simplistic nature, is the law prevents that use from being used that way.
There's only X amount of square feet versus
This isn't in violation of the law. This is a lesser standard than the variance.
It's not presenting it in the way that the regulations specifically require.
Right, but the rectangle piece of it is the crux. It's not a rectangle. It could be elongated. It could have a little bump in it, and you'd still have the amount of space that you need for the package.
Understood. Thank
So
you.
something over here.
Yeah, staff, if you act to grant some type of conditional approval, just have a modification on some of the recommended conditions of approval.
Okay.
So you pin it back, bounce it back to me if you can.
Bounce it back. We'll get there. Okay. Matt, yes.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say, and I think Mr. Bass is going to bring this up, is so the drainage easement that's going to be established or recodified, I should say, typically those easements prohibit significant improvements inside the easement by a private property owner, and the driveway may fall into that. So I think Alex is going to attempt to address that as part of a condition of approval. It may be possible. It may end up being required that the driveway may shift to the east. If that's possible because of the juxtaposition of the easement that runs diagonally through the property.
Is there an easement currently?
There is an easement without any width currently.
Oh, good.
It needs to be updated per the city surveyor's request.
So the draft easements that are flying around, the city standard easement usually precludes major, structures of any kind. Driveways might fall into that, landscaping, other things. So recognizing, I think we just got this driveway design late last week. So
Okay, and we'll hit that with Alec. Yes.
Matt, is that, as I understand what you're saying, is there a potential that they could get approval for this and then not be able to do what they want to do?
I think just noting that the driveway was shown in the easement, it caught my eye today sitting here, and I think it's just something that the board and the applicant need to be aware of. So it's a detail. I think the driveway probably can be shifted easterly.
If it's something that requires a significant redesign, it would have to come back to the board.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Councilor Todd.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the people that came out to testify tonight. I appreciated hearing from you. I also found it very interesting, the comments that were made tonight, over which our chair already pointed out we don't really have jurisdiction, but I thought it was very refreshing to hear the real love that you have for your neighborhood, the historic nature of your neighborhood, that you think it's something that's really important to protect. We have a master plan process coming up.
You're all invited.
You're all invited, absolutely, because that's the venue for starting to discuss some of these points that you're making, which I think are extremely valid. And I would say that it's not just you that feel that way. I think there are many, many residents who feel exactly the same way about preserving their neighborhood. And in fact, when the city looked at proposed zoning changes, we had what was loosely termed form-based code, which one of the provisions of which would have actually taken into consideration the architectural and historic nature of the surroundings when we're going to be allowed to build something there. So I think we can revisit those themes, and I think that would be important. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
I think you'd agree with me that 9 out of 10 of these types of applications that come before us, we get no testimony. Probably 19 out of 20, 49 out of 50, we don't get them in a lot of cases, or we'll get one little blurb about it. But very rarely do we have people that are passionate about seeing things preserved or having some say in what the ultimate design and look of the project is.
I agree, and I just want those folks to not be discouraged in any way. I want to see continued involvement as we go forward with other things, and try to accommodate those concerns that you have.
Okay, so that said, we've closed the public hearing. Any other comments from staff? I want to move into recommendations, again, using our findings of fact. We heard some testimony here on this application. We've got staff reports. We've got the applicant's submission and the materials that we've got before us tonight. is what we'll use as our findings of fact. We've got, first up is the waivers. We heard some testimony regarding the waivers. We heard some feedback from the applicant regarding the 2 waiver requests. We've got on the docket here from the listed sections of the subdivision regulations based on the evidence provided showing that criteria RSA 674, 36(2) and 2 and section 3508 of the subdivision regulations are met. Section 1207 for wetland delineations to not provide the signature and the seal of a certified wetland specialist on the subdivision plat, and section 19054, the usable lot area rectangle, to not provide the usable lot area rectangle. Do we have any thoughts or comments on granting both of those waivers or denying both of those waivers or taking them one at a time? Any comments, questions, concerns? If not, I'm going to take them one at a time. Look at them from section 1207 for wetland delineation. Again, I'm fine. Mr. Sargent's been doing this a long time, and I hear the pieces that the folks have questioned it. But I looked at the lot. I've looked at the plans. I don't know that wetland delineations are really needed for this particular piece. Do I need to take these individually, or can I do them?
You can do them
together.
Do them together if you wish.
If there's no other opposition or thoughts on it, we'll take usable lot rectangle. Again, I don't think that's an issue with this in section 1905. So I'd make a motion that we grant the waivers provided as outlined.
Second.
We got a second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed. One opposed. Dina's opposed, so that motion carries to grant those waiver requests as outlined. 9.3 is to grant minor subdivision approval for the 2-lot subdivision at tax map lot 393Z5517 Clark Street. Geez. Subject to the following precedent and subsequent conditions. Yep, I'll hit them in just a sec. Outlined in our packet are precedent conditions 1A through I. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Subsequent conditions 1, 2, and 3. Alec.
I would recommend the board consider revising precedent condition 6 to require 1 full-size plan and 1 Mylar to be delivered to planning for signature. I'd recommend the board add a 7th precedent condition that states the existing driveway shall be removed and reconstructed to achieve zoning compliance as shown on the proposed driveway plan. The applicant shall submit and receive any necessary driveway and engineering permits. And I'd recommend a precedent condition 8 that per section 13022, utility, drainage, and slope easements, the applicant shall provide a drainage easement for the municipal storm sewer crossing the property. Prior to the recording with the Merrimack County Register of Deeds, the applicant shall provide any required documents or plans necessary for the recording of the easement as required by and subject to the review of the city engineer, city solicitor, and clerk of the planning board. The easement or plan shall consider the location of any future driveway or utilities to service the new lot.
Wowzers, that's a mouthful. Okay, so those will be put in there as modifications
of 6,
to
new
6,
7, new
6, 1, and then 7 and 8 as precedent conditions. I'll make a motion that we approve that minor subdivision approval as outlined with those additions. We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
You guys still want Mylar?
Still
Yes.
want Mylar, yes. It's a city.
It's the state, actually.
It's a state. I sign them every week, so yes, we still want Mylar. So we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
One opposition, Dina. That motion carries, and I think that's it. Yep, that moves us on. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your testimony. All right, what are we up to? 9E.
9E.
MRP
This is
Construction.
MRP Construction and Restoration LLC on behalf of Red Eagle Management LLC. Request conditional use permit approval to permit the principal use of offices of healthcare practitioners at 92 South Street in the Neighborhood Commercial District. This project is to grant the approval for the change of use of a portion of the former Rite Aid building at 92 South Street. which consists of converting 8,500 square feet of the almost 17,000 square foot building from retail, the former pharmacy use, to a local optometry office. The remaining portion of the building is not part of this application, and we understand the property owner is continuing to market the space for future reuse. This project does not meet the criteria necessary to require site plan review, so tonight's discussion is relative to the CUP to allow the healthcare use within the neighborhood commercial district. Staff recommends the board determine the application complete, not of regional impact, and then following the public hearing, grant the conditional use permit in accordance with the recommendations in the staff memo.
Okay, so staff has found the application complete, not the development of regional impact. Would someone like to make a motion to find the application complete and open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Public hearing is open. Welcome to the table. If you could state your names for the record.
Hi, good evening. Mike Pearson, MRP Construction and Restoration, on behalf of Red Eagle Management.
My name's Tyler Weber. I'm the president of the tenant company, healthcare company.
Okay, let's, actually, before we get to you, let's get a quick staff update on this one if we could.
Sure. As our staff report indicates, staff is recommending conditional approval of this application. The applicant has demonstrated that they do not meet any of the thresholds that would require site plan review for this change of use. The change of use is for about half of the building, and this use is permitted in this zoning district by conditional use permit, which is why they are here before you.
Okay.
The remainder of the building, staff is considering as existing retail, even though it is a vacant portion right now. The trip generations actually go down with this use. Parking requirements go up slightly. So as part of what the applicant is provided in their materials is how to satisfy those parking requirements, and staff is a subsequent condition of this approval will be that prior to receiving any certificate of occupancy, those design changes are completed.
It's a shockingly big parking lot now. I can't believe they need more parking, but
It's the ratio.
it is the ratio. I got it for the size of the building. Okay, again, I welcome you to the table, so tell us a little bit about the project, and we'll see if we can get through it quick.
So the building is approximately just a little under 17,000 feet. The current layout of the parking lot is 63 spaces. We're going to divide the property in half, the front half on the south side street, roughly 8,500 square feet. We're going to fit that up for medical office use, and the back half is going to be owner occupied at this time.
Okay. Questions from the board? Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? No? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and move through here to our packet. Ooh, geez. Okay, again, findings of fact, the information that we've got in our packet here. I saw some information in reading through it about parking for redesigning of McKee Square. Does any of that fall into this or no?
Those were, staff had provided as a general comment to make the applicant aware.
Okay.
We recommended, but did not think our regulations or this change of use required the narrowing of their existing drive opening, and we also wanted to make them aware that as part of the McKee Square future projects, you know, that may be something that is conducted,
Okay.
similar to some other, you know, that project is still in design, it is in the city CIP, but there could be some other changes to the area. We just wanted to bring to their attention.
I knew it was in there, I just didn't remember what the comments were about it. So, okay, so again, using as our findings of fact the information that's presented in the packet to make our decisions tonight, we'll move right into 9.2 to grant conditional use permit approval to allow for the conversion of about 8,500 square feet from retail use to Office of Healthcare professional use for the use of an optometrist office at tax map 7911Z lot 108, addressed as 92 South Street in the neighborhood commercial district. And outlined in there is precedent conditions 1A and 2, subsequent conditions B, subsequent conditions A and B. Would someone like to make a motion to grant conditional use permit approval as outlined?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You are all set.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was quick. All right, I think we moved 9F off. No.
9F is continued, 9G is continued.
9F and 9G are continued, so let's move on to item 10 in our agenda.
All right, this is Gallagher, Hallican, and Gartrell PC, Jones and Beach Engineering, Inc., Onyx Partners Ltd., on behalf of Onyx Steeplegate Concord LLC, Onyx Regal Concord LLC, Onyx TD LLC, requesting comprehensive development plan approval for the consolidation of condominium and re-subdivision into separate lots and ownership, and a proposed mixed-use redevelopment to include certain on- and off-site improvements, a fueling station, approximately 600 residential apartment units, approximately 329,200 square feet commercial retail, approximately 5,040 square feet of restaurant use at tax maps. 611Z, Lot 40, addresses 270 Loudon Road. 611Z, Lot 39, addresses 282 Loudon Road. 61Z, Lot 9, addresses 277 Sheep Davis. 611Z, Lot 41, addresses 260 Loudon Road, all within the Gateway Performance District. Having said that, this CDP is the first step in the process to facilitate the redevelopment of the former Steeplegate Mall and Regal Cinema sites. Because the property is located in the Gateway Performance District, the CDP is required by the zoning ordinance prior to submission of any subdivision applications. The board and the applicant should discuss the general parameters of the project at this stage of the review, so that when the CDP is ready for a vote, it provides the necessary clarity and components necessary to guide the future site plan and subdivision applications that are necessary to move the project into construction. The key items at the CDP level of review are traffic impact, phasing and project sequencing, and providing a baseline for what the uses are proposed to be included in the project, and conceptually how they're going to be serviced by municipal and private infrastructure. Of particular note with this project, as we all know, is sewer capacity. The staff memo contains a summary of the sewer issues related to the proposed redevelopment project and how the city's Heights sewer project integrates into that redevelopment plan, putting the developer on notice of the timing of the city's project and the legal and physical capacity issues that exist until the city's project is completed. Staff is recommending the board determine the application complete, and following the public hearing, continue the application to July 15th in order for the applicant to address the concerns raised in the staff memo and to provide the updated traffic impact analysis, which is still pending submission, without which the board is really not in a position to take any action on the CDP at this time.
Perfect. So staff has found the application complete. There's no development of regional impact component to this because it's not CDP, and that will come when subdivisions and plans are presented. Our piece of it is determine the application complete and open the public hearing. Someone like to make that motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And just for the record, for anybody that is looking at this for the first time, this is a comprehensive development plan, so it's not a plan set, it's not final plans, it's feedback, it's questions, it's getting a view at it, beating up the applicant and his attorney in particular at will, and then getting some feedback and be able to go to the July meeting with a more vetted out plan from there. So with that, welcome to the table. If you guys could state your names for the record.
Yes, I feel welcome. Thank you. I'm Ari Pollack of the law firm Gallagher, Callahan & Gartrell here in Concord. I'm here tonight for the developer and applicant Onyx Partners. And to my right is Doug Richardson, who is the Executive Vice President of Development for Onyx. Joining us both is Joe Ford, also with Onyx, and Kaylin Chaudhary, a college student who thought it would be fun to see how land use lawyers make their living. We'll cure him of that real quick.
Yeah, that'll be over quickly.
For sure. As was mentioned, we're here to resume our off and on discussion about redevelopment of the Steeplegate Mall and the adjacent Regal Cinema site. The properties are both within the Gateway Performance District, and under the ordinance, the discussion starts, as was mentioned, with a comprehensive development plan. We understand staff's recommendation to get things started tonight and then to defer action and further consideration until the July meeting, and frankly, we concur with that recommendation. We need some time to make some additional submissions prior to the June deadline, including the updated traffic report as was mentioned. So with all that said, I can be brief tonight, and I think it was Abraham Lincoln who once wrote, "I regret I didn't have time to write you a shorter letter." So with brevity in mind, here's our short letter. The Steeplegate has a long history of of a meteoric rise and now destitute lows. The Regal site has a similar history of popularity in its day, but times change, and the movie industry in particular is not what it used to be. Revitalization of both sites is long overdue, and Onyx is ready to reimagine these properties as a mixed-use development with not just retail, restaurant, and ancillary pad uses, but also a significant commitment to multifamily residential housing. Onyx is has the business relationships that are necessary to bring nationally recognized retailers like Costco and Whole Foods to the site to anchor this project. And these companies are not only going to deliver to Concord residents, but also bring similar uses to co-locate in Concord as a regional retail destination. The housing element anchors the retail with built-in on-premises customers at the ready, and the sheet that's up on the TV contains the overall site layout plan. The plan shows both a subdivision of the site bookended by the existing TD Bank and Applebee's, and they will remain as independent out parcels operated as they are today. The plan also shows a large retail area where the existing JCPenney boxes and a large retail area at the existing Regal Cinema building. As I mentioned, there are smaller spaces planned for retail, financial, and fueling surrounding the big boxes. The easterly portion of the site, over there on this map, north is to the top, is predominantly multifamily style apartments with relocated indoor recreation and a fitness component, fitness user. The housing development is supported by common areas and typical housing amenities. The plan is paired with numerous variances that either were granted, extended, modified by the zoning board. We've been there more than they care to remember, all of which are now incorporated into this plan and support this plan so that it can be found to at least comply with the requirements of Concord's ordinance. As the board knows, a comprehensive development plan is a master planning tool for developments of large tracts in the performance zones where there's a mixture and a coexistence of uses. The CDP itself doesn't allow us to take anything down, doesn't allow us to put anything up, but it gives us all an idea of where we're headed, and it's to be an organic or amendable document that guides the full subdivision and site plan applications, which are down the road from where we are at this moment. This immediate submission gets our ball rolling again, and it will be paired with additional information to come in the next month so that we are ready to engage in next steps, which will almost certainly include a peer review of our traffic submission, and then of course more detailed staff recommendations than what you've got as a preliminary matter tonight. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it brief. We appreciate your interest, your feedback, your patience, and most importantly, I think your dedication to making this gateway site for Concord into what it could be rather than what it has been. Big projects have long to-do lists. This is a big one. You go too fast and you make mistakes. You go too slow and you raise doubts in the community. And what we've tried to do is hit a balance between too little and too much. Doug and I are here for your questions. If I can't answer them, my shadowing college student will give it his best shot. And we're here to take your feedback and then plan to see you again in July. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So we saw this plan set, well, we saw a plan set back a year ago.
Late 2024, there was a design review.
Possible it was that long ago. And spent a fair amount of time looking at it, commenting on it, questions, concerns. Obviously, it's changed. What's changed? Is there any? I mean, it looks like some of the drive-throughs and some of the resiting of the buildings has changed. Little less I saw on the residential, just the number of units. But was there 3 buildings before for residential?
3 before, 3 now.
3 now. Okay, where's the third on the elevation?
Up at the top here.
Yeah.
in the middle, and down below. So one,
Below.
2, 3.
Oh, so the little one in the, I'm looking at the,
Oh,
I'm looking at the,
I thought you were looking at my
Not the
cursor
3D
on the
rendering.
screen. Look at that screen for a second. You were saying yes, and I thought you were watching. Right here, 1,
yeah,
2, 3.
3. Oh, okay.
And that building that you last pointed to has retail on the first floor.
It does.
So retail on the first floor. So I was looking at the, I'm looking at the conceptual renderings, so the fancy drawings, and I assumed that that was all residential, so my apologies.
No,
And then the buildings that are now facing on are facing on DeMonte? Are those facing DeMonte for the fronts of the buildings?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So again, with the changeover with JCPenney and whatnot, you got 2 existing pieces of the mall that will remain, those two buildings that will remain. What else changed as far as the site goes? It seems like it's dominated by Costco. That's kind of where I was getting. It seems like there's less on the site than there was before, and more Costco. The Costco hasn't changed at all as far as the size
Location
goes.
has.
It has changed its orientation on the site.
Okay.
It has
Turned.
turned.
Yeah.
And I think what we've got now, frankly, you made the comment earlier, 10 pounds of development in a 5-pound bag. Now I think we have 8 in a 5-pound bag. And so the site has loosened up a little bit, if you will, because we're not trying to maintain so many of the existing structures.
Okay.
In addition, we have done some planning to keep some of the roadways, the roadways that are proposed private. And those now can be built to a more narrow standard and can be less of a maintenance burden to the city.
Okay.
Yeah. The significant difference with the reorientation is where Costco is shown in this plan was a portion of the existing mall that was going to remain where JCPenney is located.
Okay. Questions from the board? Dina?
I remember when this came before us back in '24. We were looking at this building with the atrium in the middle, and there was going to be a road going underneath it.
Right, through the middle of the building, yeah.
Still doing that, because there was question about fire trucks getting through, and if I recall.
Yeah, so as of this version of the CDP, that is still the proposal. That site will need to go through site plan review. It will need to go through the fire marshal's review. We will undoubtedly have conversations about whether that design can survive scrutiny, and if it's not, then we'll make changes. But as it stands right now, that's been what we've planned.
Thank you.
Questions? Any questions from the board? Councilor Todd?
Yeah, thank you. We have included in our packet here the, what's it called? Conceptual renderings and site plan. And I guess this gives us a little bit of an idea of what it's like. The photographs that are attached, how many of those is that just to give us a flavor of what it's going to be like, or is that something that we're...
Because it's beautiful.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how much of that is
So
what we can
really
expect.
starting on page 7 of the packet would be.
There you are, yeah. So just as you go through, now you start to get to see some of the photos, and even a little further in, there's, right, so.
This is a residential development of 600 units. It will be fully amenitized. It will be market rate, so there are elements such as it's shown, outdoor pool, dog walk area, barbecue stations for people outside. So, the architect, Embark, has done a lot of work in Rochester, Dover, as well as Portsmouth. That's some of the conceptual or some of the style images that are shown. But these are fully intended to be 4- and 5-story brick buildings.
Okay. So move down to the next one, Ari, next one after that. That one, yeah, that one right there. So the one in the top middle, if you look at, that's a 4-story building with the kind of the architectural elements of different front and, different front facades, different parapet designs, different structural pieces of it. I think to Councilor Todd's point, we look at all these and they're beautiful buildings, but they're a disparate lot of differences. I mean, this is just kind of giving us an idea that says these might be what this building looks like, and this one might look like this, and then the Cochico Park I saw there on one of them, you know, that might be that type of a green space area. That's the intent of the images, right?
These are representative of fit and finishes that I think are planned for the site. You know, whether it's going to be one picture versus another, we couldn't tell you at the moment.
It's a catalog of options, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, and that top middle image is very accurate, that it is retail on the first floor and then the floors above. So very similar to that I-shaped building closest to Diamante. That's the style.
I mean, you know, again, it's not for lack of trying to pigeonhole it into a design, but if you're looking at the development in Salem or some of the developments that are building around those hubs of interest, so walkability and moving from retail over to the Starbucks on the corner or the Applebee's at the front, whatever it might be, you've got that, you know, that kind of downtown feeling, or that little, you know, common feeling. Until you get to Costco, that's a different story. But
absolutely, and working with city staff, we are fully planning pedestrian access on all three major frontages, Diamante, Loudon, and Sheep Davis.
Okay, we had a pretty spirited conversation about the primary access point coming in off of Sheep Davis Road as opposed to coming in off of Loudon Road. So, you know, the directions to the property, if someone puts it in a GPS, we want them coming off of Sheep Davis Road. So, I mean, obviously you can't control that, but the intent is to really kind of drive the traffic, or not the intent, but the preference from my perspective would be to push it to Sheep Davis Road, keep it off of Loudon Road, and have them come in the primary entrance coming off of that. And I think, you know, people coming off of 393 that are coming either around will come down off 393. They can take a right onto Loudon Road and come in, or they can just go straight, come right down in and turn in, which I think is probably what people will do.
We've finished the traffic study. There is a detailed off-site improvement plan that shows the modifications to the three major roads, Loudon, Diamante, and Sheep Davis, and it will reflect, as well as review by city staff and consultant, that it considers those traffic patterns and works with access to the site.
Perfect. I think, is there 2 street lights on Sheep Davis that service that? There's one that's kind of dead now that's right in front of the bank, the TD Bank.
Right.
Yes, that will be reactivated, and then there is a current one that is the intersection of
Primary for
Diamante
Target.
and Sheep Davis.
So there is one here. This is the deactivated that Doug is saying.
The mast arms are still there, we just don't have the actual signals.
Right,
anymore.
it'll be rehung as part of the mitigation.
That's going to be coming back.
Okay. Other questions, concerns? Eaton?
I might be a little bit behind. I did read the report with the
Pull up a little
discussion. I'm sorry. I did read the report with the discussion of the 2004 sewer report, and then there was something back from 1988, all which predate my time here. And something this large, it's important for the infrastructure to maintain it. We're talking about parking, water, sewer. It sounds to me like we have the capacity in our sewer lines for it, or is there a project that's coming up that needs to take place?
I will defer to the deputy city manager, since he's been vastly involved with this project.
We got the lines, we just don't have the pump.
Yeah, so to answer your question, there's the city's embarking on a $25 million project on the Heights. It's 2 pieces. The first is the sewer pump station. So the original the current pump station was built in 1989, 1990 as part of the mall project. Thank you. It's got a capacity of about 91,000 gallons a day. There's an agreement from 1988 between the city and the then developer at that time. And there's a certain amount of capacity that goes with the mall in that pump station, which is about 52,000 gallons a day. What we're going to be doing is replacing that pump station with a new pump station that will have a capacity of just under 350,000 gallons a day. And that project has already been bid and awarded, and construction will be starting soon. I think they've already ordered long-term lead items on it, components. The second piece of the project is a 2-mile-long sewer main upgrade, which will go down Loudon Road, Branch Turnpike, the Pembroke Road, and then back to Loudon Road up, I believe it's Grover Street. And what we're going to be doing is upsizing the sewer main to accommodate the additional flow that's going to be coming from that pump station, ultimately to get it to go westerly so we can get it to the Hall Street wastewater treatment plant. So that's what that project is. That project's been bid. My recollection is there are 4 bidders. We have not yet awarded the project, but I believe all the bids are within budget. So that's going to be moving forward. Our expectation is that construction is going to be starting this construction season. It will probably take somewhere around 18 to 24 months to get it completed, depending on when we actually start and how winter falls and all of that. But that's the status of the project. We've had conversations with the developer. They are aware of this, going back over the last couple of years. The way the board's been handling various projects on the Heights is to say if an applicant wants to move forward to build their project, they're welcome to, but we've been withholding certificates of occupancy and connection permits until the capacity is there. So there are multiple applications that have come through on the Heights that have kind of fallen into that situation. One of the things I believe the staff report talks about is potentially phasing this project when it comes in with the formal submission for subdivision and site plan, so that however the applicant decides they want to split up their existing capacity now, they can do that, and then however they want to move forward with the rest of the project later, when the sewer capacity is there, so they don't get pigeonholed into a situation where their certificates of occupancy are held up when they want them for those initial phases of the project versus the later ones. So I think that's the full debrief on the sewer situation up there.
And along the same lines, has anyone thought about the impact on the schools with 600 units there? Do we have the schooling capacity to deal with that many additional students?
The general rule of thumb for a project of multifamily of this nature is that you see about 0.17 school-age children per unit. So when you factor that out, there will be less than 100 kids likely out of this project in total, which the capacity of the school district, given the declining enrollments that we've had, should be easily accommodated by the current system.
Thank you.
Questions? Councilor Todd.
Thank you. I know this is early, but any sense of the potential phasing for this project? You know, residential first, retail first, combination?
The general nature of the project itself works very well with the city's time frame. We view it as one hit project, one phase, but in terms of construction, yes, the western side, the retail will be the quickest to build, a 9 to 12 month time frame. To build even 200 of the 600 units is an 18-month project. That won't be starting till March of next year, April 1, depending on how winter is. So we're already a 24-month built-in normal schedule that would have us out 2 years for occupancy. But if there was a few month shift, we can work with that. And the sewage that is being generated by that west side is less than what was agreed in the old agreement of 54.
What really drives the need for sewer upgrades in this part of the city is the zoning amendment that took place several years ago that allows residential within the Gateway Performance District. All of the sewer in this part of the city was predicated and designed for commercial use, which is a significantly less user of wastewater than residential uses are. So when the zoning change then allowed residential uses to take place over here, and as we've seen over the last several years, the shift to more residential development within the city, that's really what's driving the capacity issues, because that was not contemplated when this was originally designed back in the day.
So it's mostly gray water, isn't it, coming out of the commercial developments? I mean, I imagine Costco's got to use a tremendous amount of water, just not sewer water, but adding.
Actually, a market basket uses more.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
How is that possible?
It's possible because 80% of the building is dry goods.
Yeah, that's true. We really have to talk about that. Yes.
Just two quick questions. Your property line with the very nice looking pond that you always present to us, the pond is beyond your property line, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And then
it's nice and blue though.
I know you do a great job with it. The existing, where it says the sort of light colors there, the existing buildings that were part of the old mall, or the current mall, when we were here last time talking about this, it was a lease situation. Is that the same?
Yes, they're tenants.
Yes. Okay.
Long-term tenants. Well,
one yes, one no.
Doesn't matter.
I guess my question is because this has changed significantly. Well, it has changed because of sort of resolutions to previous issues, right? So with the Costco being flipped because there's some changes in relationships with some of the tenants there now.
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but I think that
Trying to ask it without being.
As direct about JCPenney.
Oh,
Yeah.
JCPenney's not on the plan.
So could a similar situation happen with those other two tenants?
If it did, we'd have to come back and.
Okay. That's
Yeah, I mean, to me, this comes back to this is a moment in time. The CDP is an organic document. It will change.
Yeah.
You won't see exactly what's on here built, but it is a 10,000-foot master planned thought of how this will roll off so that things like sewer and traffic and other impacts of a large development can be thought through. We talk about phasing for this project. It's more sequencing. In a perfect world, the sewer would be there right now. We could tap into every gallon we need, and we'd build it all at the same time and open it every piece when it's ready. And we know that that's just not reality, and you have to build that house of cards so that it doesn't fall down.
There was a fairly good push to get them all down. What's the sequence for demolition?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
There was a approval to take down Sears and the mall portion. We filed for permit about a year ago. That building permit has expired, and we're looking in 2026 to reapply for that permit.
Okay. Okay. Dina.
I love where this is going, this project is going. I will ask, because people expect it of me, kind of, as far as there any plan for any alternate, either solar or any type of alternate, instead of the drain on the grid, anything like that plan?
Not at this time.
Not at this time, okay.
Keep asking a good question, though.
No, I was just going to say I appreciate the company sticking with this project. Because I know it's been there are a lot of hurdles here.
Yes.
And we definitely need the housing, and I know a lot of people want the Costco.
Since
but I really like the housing and the project, so thank you for sticking with it.
Since the last meeting, we have completely redeveloped the Eastfield Mall in Springfield and have opened up a BJ's, Target, Hobby Lobby, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, PetSmart Center.
Wow.
I like the housing, the rest of it's different for people. But thank you for sticking with this project.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions from the board? No? Questions from the audience? Oh, yeah, let you guys step back.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
I saw somebody's hand over here. Oh, Mr. Schweiker, come on up. Yep. Welcome back to the table. If you could state your name for the record.
Good evening, everybody. I'm still Roy Schweiker, and I guess I have two particular concerns about this. One has to do with this housing, and traditionally, when originally housing was located near a business, and then they said, no, we need to separate them, the commercial zones, industrial zones, whatever. Now we're back to having the stuff on the same lot. But here we have a mismatch, because essentially when they were doing the Market Way project, over 60% of the jobs there were part-time, no benefits, no whatever. And I think you'd probably find the same thing here with Costco and so forth. And yet they're trying to build market rate housing. And I think that if we're going to allow the housing in commercial zones, we should try and match up the housing with the business. So if somebody's opening, say a optometry office, well, maybe you need a nice housing on that lot. But if somebody is hiring people at Costco, part-time, no benefits, I think we need to start looking at maybe we should start requiring some of these units to be stuff that these people can actually afford. I mean, they're talking about, here's people right on site, but I'm not sure that their typical employee can afford one of the apartments. So we really need to start thinking about that in our plans. And the second thing has to do with this sewer capacity, that we need to have somebody in the city that's as smart as Mr. Pollock to do some of our stuff in terms of we're spending $25 million, and that's not the end of it, to build sewer for them. How come they're not paying a good portion of that? How come we're not having a hookup fee that they pay part of the stuff they need? Because the city is already talking about a 10% increase in sewage rates just this year, and then more to continue to benefit, particular developers. I think if, you're building on your own lot and you put in your own septic tank and whatnot, you'd pay for it. I think we need to start doing more of that with the city in terms of let's let them, pay for their sewage capacity. We shouldn't be paying for it as other users. And similarly with the traffic improvements, Walmart had to pay all that stuff themselves. So I think we need to, once again, get ourselves a good negotiator, let these people pay for the improvements they need. Let's not try to bill them to the city, because, the residents here are getting kind of stressed out with taxes. And, you've got these developers coming in, and their taxes are going to be lower next year because of the way the assessments are coming in. So we need to start hitting up some of these people to pay their fair share. If they need offsite improvements, they pay for them. If they need sewage, they pay for it. And think of it this way, a couple of our biggest taxpayers in that city are Sam's Club and Walmart. So why are we subsidizing competitors for them by giving them free sewage, and I'm sure they're going to try and ask for offsite improvements. Let's be fair to our big taxpayers today and say, no, you want this, you pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schweiker. Questions for Mr. Schweiker? Thank you very much for your testimony. I saw another hand to go up there, back there somewhere. Come on up. Hi, welcome to the table. If you could state your name for the record.
Melissa Tassi.
All right.
I'm just kind of looking for 100% clarity in regards to the JCPenney missing off the plan. I feel like there might be some legal things going on, which is understandable, but just like, is it part of the future plan, or is it being completely removed? Besides that, I don't have any comments.
We'll ask the applicant that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If you could sign in, please, if you have.
Sure.
Other questions? Yes, sir. Welcome back. If you could state your name for the record.
Tom Graham. I might have been here at the last meeting that you guys were referencing. I haven't kept track, but I was speaking to a couple of things at that time, which I just wanted to follow up on. And again, it's kind of a personal thing for us, because I grew up in, and my 94-year-old mom still lives in the house right across the street of 106 from the mall. And so I'm really concerned about the demolition. The westerly wind blows all kinds of trash until it hits the bushes and the trees at the edge, and so that's where all the dust is going to be going. And I wanted to find out how they're going to mitigate that, so that, she's got a garden this year. She's outside a lot. She was raking leaves, things like that. So I just didn't want her to get too much of the dust, and that'd be the end of her. So I just wanted to know what was going to go on with that. And the second issue, and last time I was here, I had a little map to show you guys. But DeMonte Drive comes out on Sheep Davis Road, and our driveways are here and here. And it is getting increasingly dangerous to drive into the yard or drive out of it. If you're driving out, you take a right, there's a curve in the road, you take your turn, and all of a sudden there's a car right behind you because he's going 65 or whatever. And to try to take a left, we have to go out the other driveway and get into the second lane and turn into DeMonte Drive. What I was proposing was that DeMonte Drive, that somebody, the city or these folks, put a driveway going straight across from DeMonte Drive right into where our place would be. I believe it's residential until we no longer own it. development, and then it's automatically gonna kick into industrial, which all the rest of the land on that side of the road is. So it'd be for our benefit and safety to get in and out of our own driveway, and then a benefit to whomever ends up purchasing later on.
Sorry, I'm just gonna try to pull it up for you.
The area.
What are we doing?
Pulling up the jazz.
Site plan stuff, right?
Do you reference those driveways you were speaking of?
Oh. There's a house right there. Yeah, that's good. Do I have it? Yeah, okay, good. So what I'm interested in is how we could go about getting Demonte Drive to just go straight in. And we would need a light so that we could exit safely that would turn green for us to turn left or right, either way, or go straight. As opposed to if we go out this driveway, you can see the curve of the road, and we're right here, and the next car coming up is, you know, there's gonna be an accident one of these days. That's all I can say. I don't know what the steps would be to put in something like this. I know that on, just past the Epsom traffic circle, if you go straight through it, there's a purplish house on the right. They have a driveway and they have a light because it's opposite a road. So they have their own private street light to take a left or right. And so that's the kind of thing I guess we'd be looking for, but I don't know the steps to do that. I don't know who would be responsible for it, but having something right here would be infinitely safer than what we have now here and here. So those are my two issues. How are they going to make sure that we don't get a lot of demolition dust blowing right across? If you drive by it, you'll see all the trash right in that strip that blows up against where the woods start. And then what can we do in the future about the driveways? My mom used to walk across Sheep Davis Road and walk all around the mall and come back. I said, Mom, you can't do that anymore. You just can't. And she might still try, I don't know. But I'm thinking of her safety for that reason, too.
All right, well, thank you for your testimony. Any questions for Mr. Graham? Thank you very much.
How will I know about what guidance will be coming from you guys about the driveway issue, at least?
That's a good question. I mean, it'll pop back up again in July, so you'll want to watch postings from the city as far as the next step in the process. There's no notification on that particular issue or the dust issue that you brought up as far as, is it an issue? We can ask the applicant to consider it, but after that, it's kind of out of our hands at that point.
Right. Okay, so July then?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Yes, come on up. Hi, welcome to the table. If you could state your name for the record.
Mary Austin. My question to Onyx would be on the schedule of demolition of the JCPenney's. And that is an anticipated date that they would think that myself being an employee of JCPenney's for 34 years, it is very important for me to get an idea of where that would be.
Okay.
And I don't know if they can answer that, but I would appreciate if they could give us a timeline in which we would have some idea as to how long our building will still be there and having existing employment. Thank you.
Okay. All right, other questions, concerns? No? You guys want to come on back up? Close up? Okay, so you guys heard the questions and comments, and again, in this type of an environment, welcome to answer them if you want. You don't have to answer them if you don't want to. So we had a question regarding the couple of questions regarding JCPenney's, a question from Mr. Graham about dust mitigation and light or driveway access. And again, feel free to chime in or give us what you can.
I think all we can say is that the JCPenney role and timeline is a landlord-tenant issue and not something that is presented as part of the CDP or Comprehensive Development Plan. What we are proposing in terms of a master plan exercise, it doesn't entitle us to take anything down or put anything up. Those are separate pieces of a larger puzzle, and we would be doing everyone a disservice by guessing.
Okay. Thoughts on the dust mitigation and driveway?
Technology has improved on demolition, especially with the number of shopping malls that are being removed. I don't know if you've seen videos now, but on dust mitigation more specifically, they've now started to employ like snowmaking guns to really cloud a vapor of water to retain the dust on site. Used very effectively on multiple projects, including the one we did last year in Springfield, Mass. So that is how we can ensure to mitigate dust.
Excellent. Okay. And then again, the driveway piece and the light piece of it, I think we'll probably take that as we move forward. Any other questions? Dina?
Mr. Schweik's points also, he brought up about...
Yes, I'm sorry. It was up on my list here. Sorry. So road improvement ownership, and then the sewer piece of it. You know, the sewer piece of it is a tough nut because it's, you know, it's the city's responsibility to a certain point to provide the venues to be able to put businesses in place. So I'm not going to weigh in on that. I don't know if staff wants to. That's fine. If not, that's fine too. And then the road improvements are the same way. You got to build the road so people come. I know there was some initial investments, certainly from some of those big landmark tenants that he mentioned, Sam's and Walmart. So, I don't know if staff has any comments, questions? No?
Not at this stage.
Okay. All right. Anything else? So again, our piece of this isn't any decisions. Do we need to do anything?
Just continue to date certain July 17, or July 15, excuse me.
Okay, so we've heard from the applicant. They've given us the information. So all that's on the docket for us is a continuation of the public hearing.
Yes.
Continuation of the public hearing to date certain of July 15th. Do we need a
motion for that? Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. So we are continued to July. Thank you guys for
Thank you very much.
the presentation and the information. All right, what's next?
Number 11.
Number 11.
So in your packets, you will have a letter from the Concord School District. This is a request under RSA 674-54 from the district, asking the board to determine whether or not you wish to have a non-binding public hearing for the use of the property at 20 Conant Drive as administrative offices to support the middle school construction project.
Okay, so again, in our packet of info, this is a little bit odd in the sense that it's not something we typically will take up. My understanding is that it's the use of an existing single-story property on Conant Drive, as opposed to renting and using trailers on site. Use this property as the headquarters for the development of the property for the school with the terrible bus pattern. I'm sorry. So how do you really feel?
More words of welcome from the chair.
More welcoming comments from the chair. So the process is they use the property for however long it's going to take to build the school. Property's more than likely going to come back to the rolls and be a single-family home again. I imagine is the end result. Maybe it's not. Maybe the school retains it and keeps it and uses it for another use. But I don't know that we need to dig too far into this. I don't know what the board's preference is, or if staff
Just
has any thoughts.
statutorily, there is not a requirement under 674-54 for the planning board to hold a public hearing for every governmental land use.
Right.
You have the option of either doing it or not, and that's ultimately the question here tonight. If you want one, we'll schedule it, we'll go through the process. If you don't, then they will move forward with their construction as you see.
So thoughts from the board? I'm inclined to say we don't need a public hearing on it. As much as I want to be transparent and want to have feedback, I don't know that any feedback we get is going to be significant enough to change the thought process on what the use of the property is going to be for the cycle of the build. So yes, Councilor Tyler.
A question to that. If we did have a hearing and we had lots of testimony, that wouldn't necessarily change anything from our standpoint.
It's all non-binding.
It's all 674, so it's going to happen. It's going to happen either way.
Right. So it would strictly be just an exercise
Right.
for having public input, basically.
Yeah.
I would ask the question then, if something that we could do, would that be helpful to the school district?
I think, honestly, Mari Pollock here on behalf of Concord School District, this is a small piece of a big project. It's one piece of a 1,000-piece puzzle. The school project itself had its own 674-54 meeting and hearing here before the board, and there was some public input relative to the project as a whole, and that was helpful, and we heard it, and we took it into consideration. I honestly don't think this piece is independent enough or material enough to justify that kind of an exercise. And frankly, the school district is on the precipice of getting started this month. The closing on this property is this month. It's intended to remain residential in appearance, and as the chair mentioned, it's really going to serve a construction office role, and its long-term future in the hands of the district is to be determined.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
I would
Leon?
just, I agree with the, especially given the temporary nature of the use, that it doesn't rise to the level. I would just say, given the fact that there has been representation in the ether, if you will, that the use is not potentially allowed due to deed restrictions or something, that our any action that we took to say that a public hearing wouldn't be required or necessary in this case should have no bearing on that issue. That should be resolved. It's completely separate from any consideration.
Yep. Yep. Parking. I mean, a lot of different things that'll trigger up. So.
Yeah, and it's just basically the fact that the use is temporary in nature. It's not. There are no current plans before us for how that property will be integrated into the larger plan that has already been considered by the board for informational purposes.
And if there is, then we'll see them at that point. Right. Okay, so I'm inclined to recommend that we don't have a public hearing. How do you want to handle that, Tim?
If you want to go through a motion, that's probably the cleanest way to go.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we don't have a public hearing on this particular topic and let the school district move forward with the plans at 20 Conant Drive.
Second.
So a motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You're good to go. Thank you. All right.
Last but not least, I believe this deputy city manager has a couple of announcements to share with the board.
Outstanding. Let's hear them.
Outstanding. Well, I have good news for the board tonight, two pieces of good news for you. So the first is we've hired a city planner. Her name is Kelly.
Not Tim.
It's not Tim. Nope.
That's good news.
Nope.
Yay! Wow, tough crowd. See,
All right.
Ari,
I'm both-
Ari,
I've got your back,
I'm
Ari.
an equal opportunity offender, so just to let you know.
Tim would have served admirably if he wanted to, but he clearly did not. So
He served admirably. He served admirably in this period. So.
Yeah. So so the person we've hired, her name is Kelly Karen. Kelly holds a bachelor's degree in environmental planning from Plymouth State University and has a master's degree in public administration from Southern New Hampshire University. Kelly is currently employed by the town of Londonderry as their deputy town manager and director of economic development. In that capacity, she's responsible for all aspects of planning and economic development with Londonderry. Recently played a key role in their master plan update, and she supervises a staff of about 6 people there, which is comparable to the planning division. Prior to being promoted to deputy town manager in Londonderry, she served as town planner. And before joining Londonderry, Kelly served as the assistant planner in Merrimack under one Tim Thompson, town planner and MS4 coordinator for the town of Milford, and town planner and code enforcement officer for the town of Epping. She's also worked for the state of New Hampshire, both in the Office of Planning and Department of Environmental Services. So I'm thrilled that she's going to be joining us. Her references are outstanding. Her experience with New Hampshire planning and land use is very strong. She's got good master plan experience. She'll be joining us June 15th. So we're very excited about that, and I think you will like her, and we'll enjoy working with her, as will the staff who gets to meet her tomorrow. So that's part one. Part two is we've also hired a consultant for our master plan. The notice to proceed was issued today. We've hired the firm of Util. Util was founded in 2002 and is an urban planning and design firm based in Boston, but they also have satellite offices in Providence, Rhode Island, and Burlington, Vermont. They currently employ 92 professionals and have completed a variety of municipal planning and zoning projects throughout the Northeast. Util is a well-respected firm, has a reputation for producing quality, comprehensive plans which are dynamic, visually engaging, and easy to understand. So the board recalls the public hearings that you had back in November and December. Those were some of the points that the public made. Util recently completed master plans for Salem, New Hampshire, and Nashua, New Hampshire, and they're currently working on Portsmouth Comprehensive Master Plan Update, which is ongoing. They've also worked for Lowell, Worcester, Boston, Cambridge on similar efforts. Util has assembled a team of well-qualified sub-consultants to support the planning process, including U3, which is formerly known as Landwise. They specialize in demographics, housing, and economic development. Nelson Nygaard, who's going to be assisting with natural resources and transportation planning. VHB, which is one of the city's on-call consultants. They'll be assisting with transportation as well as historic and cultural resources. And Niche Engineers, which will be working on utility issues as well as energy and sustainability. The contract amount is $400,000, which is the full amount that we have available for this project. The work will be getting underway this summer, primarily at the staff level, but we're going to be trying to have them meet with you this summer as schedules allow. Public participation is scheduled to begin this fall, shortly after the summer holiday is over. The new master plan itself, the entire process is scheduled to be completed in winter, spring 2028. More information will be given to you at your June 17th meeting, so you're going to have lots of questions about what we're doing and what the schedule is and how we want to go about this this grand undertaking. I think the community and the board will enjoy working with this team, and I'm excited that we have them on board and are going to be moving forward. So, 2 good pieces of information for you tonight.
Great. So what I heard was Tim doesn't have to answer the questions, Kelly does. Good job, Tim. That's good.
Wow.
Tim will be transitioning out for a while. He might be back a little bit in the fall because of Kelly does have a bit of a leave, some leave coming up this fall, which we'll talk about later. But either way, yes, Kelly will be answering the questions, and she's really, I don't know, Tim worked with her directly and can speak to her experience, but she's a great person.
Yeah, I hired Kelly. I was her first municipal employer when I was the director of community development in Merrimack. Much like several of the people I hired in that position is a great entry-level step where you get your feet wet, you learn how municipal government works, and then you go on to bigger and better things. And Kelly, amongst several of my former employees, have gone on to become directors of planning and economic development and community development, economic development in other municipalities, both in New Hampshire and abroad. So I'm excited to have Kelly on board. It's been about 10 years since I worked with her, but she's definitely grown professionally. I understand the challenges she's had in Londonderry because her first job in Londonderry was actually my old job in Londonderry as the town planner. She was quickly promoted up, gaining the trust of the folks in Londonderry, and
I think the opportunity for her to work in a city form of government for the first time in her career will be an adjustment for her, but I think she's more than up to the challenge.
Great.
Great.
We'll
Glad to
be
hear.
issuing a press release tomorrow morning about Kelly's hiring, but since I wanted to let you all know tonight. So.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim,
Okay.
thanks for stepping in.
Yeah.
These
Welcome.
months.
Thank you, Tim.
All right. Any other business to come before the board tonight?
Councilor Todd?
Councilor Todd, yes, sorry.
Yep, thank you. Yes, I'm going to take
Oh,
a
yes, that's right.
I'm going to take a different tack than the chair. I'm going to say thank you, Mr. Thompson, for
Yeah.
all of your work on that we just announced, and specifically also in our other information section of our agenda tonight. There's the site plan regulations that are being proposed, and I do want to say I appreciate the work and effort gone into this. I think that there were some issues that we've had in the past, and I think this will hopefully resolve that. Specifically, I'm thinking that for this body, we don't want to be surprised by anything. If we ended up approving a set of plans and then those plans need to come back for us for some other reason, and we're looking at those plans and say, wait a minute, I don't recognize that. That's not what we approved several months ago. I think this will help avoid those kinds of situations. I did have a question overall, though, for you about this. I appreciate that there's an actual written regulation. I'm wondering if, and also an example on here. So we have minor amendments approved by the clerk of the board, and you have the project, which was Pembroke Road, you have the approval date, and then you have the minor amendment, which is temporary office trailer. I'm wondering if there would be a way to incorporate reasonably those kinds of items actually into our agenda on a monthly basis. So in other words, kind of like the city council does with their consent agenda. Those items would come before this body, and we would basically be able to agree on them and say, oh, that's fine. We have no problem with that. And then also, therefore, if there was something that triggered attention, we could pull that from the agenda and speak to it more directly. Is that feasible in your opinion? Or would there be timing issues? Let's say in this example, temporary office trailer, somebody needs that to be able to get their work started or whatever, and we'd be causing a delay.
The typical things that you find in these administrative approvals are things that A, have a time component associated with them, and B, are usually so minor in nature that it would be disservice to both the board and the applicant to have them wait for a planning board meeting to go through that process. Good example for that, every winter, the major retailers have to get an administrative approval to put a salt shed in occupied parking spaces for their winter maintenance. I don't know that that's really the best use of the planning board's time to go through and do that on a regular basis. That's why you'll find that every winter you'll see a slew of those for Target and Walmart and all those different businesses that, and right now actually our planning and zoning inspector is out there informing people, reminder, mid-May is when those have to come down, so he's out there making sure that those are coming down. Those are the types of things that we do administrative. If there's ever any question, at least from my perspective in the time that I've been in the position, that something is not at the staff level of discretion, we would certainly bring it to the board, either consent agenda or as a full agenda item.
Right. I guess then if and I can understand that, so I asked the question, I kind of anticipated that would be the response, but as I look at the ordinance the way it's written now, there are, the revision, there's one provision specifically regarding the reductions in the size of the building or increases in floor area under 500 square feet or less than 5% of the total floor area, that those would not actually come before. Those would be allowed, basically. And I guess I'm just thinking of a scenario of, let's say you had some retail development and they decided, oh, you know what, we need to add in an extra storage room that we didn't anticipate, and it's going to be 499 square feet, right? That might, and then they might come back to the board again, and we might not recognize that additional piece. And not only that, but it might trigger some additional concerns or questions regarding access, sidewalk access. There might be other ancillary issues that would come before us that could be of concern. I can't sit here and anticipate what those would be, but I could just imagine that something might happen in that fashion. What are your thoughts on that?
Hard to say. As you said, our site plan regulations specify the threshold between what is a minor or a major. You may not know if we've had applicants request an administrative approval application that we escalated and said, no, we want this to go before the board as an amendment. So there have been some amendments that have come before you because we felt whether it hit one of those thresholds or, in the opinion of the clerk, it should go to the planning board. But a lot of the, shy of that 499, staff looks at every one of these that come through to compare against the original approved plans, to consider all those items. We circulate it to the appropriate divisions, be it planning, engineering, fire, to get all, prior to approving those administrative approvals that you see come before you every month.
Good, thank you. So that's what I wanted to hear, and I wanted to have this be part of the discussion about this so that we all understand, where we're at. Also, again, just I appreciate that, and that's really, I think, vital to this body, as you know. Of course, it's pretty obvious, but yeah, anything that you would anticipate or that staff would anticipate would be potentially an issue on another front. Absolutely. Then you have the despite what it says in the regulation, you have the authority.
You always have the ability to bring it to the board.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
And do you want to see those? I mean, you could have a reporting mechanism, not to come for decisions, but
we could add, in addition to the actual listing that's in the report, if you want to see the actual plans themselves, we can link those in the agenda fairly easily.
So, the following has been adjusted at
Yep.
staff level, and,
Yep.
and you just get some visibility over time, and then you could, 6 months from now, come back and say, hey, I think this is great, and we should be doing this, or I think this is a waste of extra space, we don't need it, because I wasn't sure. But, I mean, I think your point is valid, and I think if we had some visibility into it, just linked into the agenda, it's worthy, I think.
Thank you for that. I agree. And that's where I was kind of going with, you have this as I guess, as an example of one of the items.
It's a perfect example.
I think it's a perfect example, and I think also, we have the luxury of, our agenda are not typically very long documents already. Not our minutes are long, right? But not the agenda.
Working on that.
You know how long the minutes are. That's different. But the agenda, I think adding those extra items, I don't think it would be very cumbersome or.
It's not a burden at all.
I think it would.
And again, I think if we treat everything as a living document and say, hey, why don't we start pushing this down to the staff level instead of having it come to here, so we can streamline the application process for the applicant, or hey, we need to start seeing these because everybody's doing this or whatever it might be, or whatever the issue is. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else to legally come before the board tonight? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll make the motion to adjourn, and I got a round second there. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. We are adjourned, 9:32. Thank you, everyone.